You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hey folks, what's going on? Got another one for you this week, and I got a little announcement. Yeah, I'm gonna do something kind of crazy. So starting today, the day this episode drops, I'm embarking on a quest of sorts, and I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I'm gonna try it anyway. As some of you know, I do have a very, very small YouTube channel where I put up demos occasionally. It's much smaller than my Instagram because I don't focus on it, but that's all going to change. So starting today, I'm going to attempt to do a video every single day, or at least drop a video every single day. There will probably be days where I record multiple videos in one day, just, to accommodate life and whatnot. But yeah, if you go to YouTube, type in the Tone Mob, you'll find the channel. And if you want to come along on that journey, so for 30 days, the entire month of September, I'm going to be dropping a YouTube video every single day. Some of it will be demos, some of it will be vloggy type stuff, some of it might be telling more in-depth stories about some of my instruments. I'm just going to kind of throw it at the wall and see what sticks and see what people like, and go from there, because I'm honestly a bit of a noob at YouTube comparatively. I've done it off and on throughout the years, but I've never really focused on it. So the link for that will be in the show notes if you want to check that out. And yeah, search the Tone Mob on YouTube. You'll find the channel, and you can subscribe to follow along, and hopefully I can get through this month mentally intact, but we shall see what happens. So yeah, one YouTube video every day for the month of September. I'm not going to be sacrificing any podcast to make that happen. So the podcast will continue weekly as scheduled. So yeah, that's what I'm up to. And without further ado, let's get into the episode with Mike from Native Audio. If any of you have been following that company for any length of time, you'll know that Mike experienced a pretty traumatic event that I actually failed to bring up on this episode because I wanted to get his permission beforehand. So we actually ended up talking about it very in-depth on the Patreon episode, and you can go to patreon.com/tonemob if you would like extra episodes delivered to your ears every week. And sometimes they end up being the real gold of the conversation, like this one was. So anyhow, it's still a great conversation. Still learned a lot about Mike and what makes him tick and what goes into his designs and his thought process behind the whole thing. So that was a lot of fun. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into this episode with Mike Trombley from Native Audio. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, a show about guitar tone and people behind it. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Mike Trombley from Native Audio. What's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Dude, pretty good. Not gonna lie. All things considered, I can't complain at all.
All craziness aside.
Exactly. I look at other folks' situation and I want to complain, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm fine.
Oh, yeah. No, I completely understand.
But finally, I'm glad to finally do this episode with you. We met briefly a couple times here and there at various trade events, NAMM and whatnot, and it'll be fun to finally sit down and do this with you. We have just a couple degrees, or maybe even just 1 degree of separation between us for quite some time, so it's awesome to finally get to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really pumped to finally sit down and kind of just chat.
Yeah. Well, let's start from the beginning. What's your story? When did you start playing, and what got you into making the pedals you're making, which are not, the stuff you're making is, some of it's pretty advanced. So let's go from day one. What's your story?
Okay. Well, So I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to music. I didn't start playing till probably, I'd say, mid high school. Others seem to have just kind of grown up with it, but I didn't get started in the music until probably like mid high school. And then following, uh, I ended up going to college as an electrical engineer. And by that point, I was really involved in music, playing every day, practicing every day. But I kind of wanted to figure out something that I kind of had a nerdy side to me that was always tinkering, was always trying to figure stuff out. And I kind of, at that point in college, I think I kind of combined the two. And about that point, I seen pedal building and I was really interested, really curious. And at that point too, I was also playing with pedals. And that's kind of where Native Audio was birthed. Yeah.
That seems rather condensed. What kind of music were you playing? What bands were you into, and what got you into it in high school?
Okay, well, so this would be 2008, 2010 era. So I was really into Red Hot Chili Peppers, Incubus, really kind of that kind of like 90s music, I guess, would be considered. But, I really just kind of involved in the funk, the blues, just kind of classic rock. And from there, I got really, I think this might have been just my nerdy side. I got really involved into the music theory side and started getting involved in like music lessons. And, I would spend probably about 6 hours a day, just sitting down, charting music, doing whatever I could to involve myself in music. And that's kind of where I went.
And then what about the pedals? What was the first thing that got you interested in effects?
Let's see. So it was probably around, when I was in college. I was probably a sophomore in college, and I started looking at, I think the first circuit I've ever built was the fuzz face. Very easy and simple circuit, but yeah, something that you can just really have fun with. And so I started tinkering with that. And then I was like, hey, this is really fun. And so I started kind of going along the whole DIY path of making my own boards, using like copper plates, and then just doing like wiring that way. And then it wasn't until I actually just started selling these units to a couple musicians here in the Dayton area. I'm based out of Dayton, Ohio, too, by the way. But I started selling a couple of these units to musicians around here, and it started getting to the point where I was like spending 3 hours on one unit to build, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I got to kind of speed this up. So that's where I started getting a little bit more into the design aspect of it. And after that, I ended up coming out with the Mint Drive. That was one of my very first products. And yeah.
And you went through, if I remember correctly, I have a lot swimming around in my brain, so I might be getting you mixed up, but you went through like a rebrand, correct?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, correct. So initially when I started the company, I went as Red House Electronics. And that the name Red House was actually birthed out of a Jimi Hendrix song, Red House. And I just, at that point, I was really involved in the blues, just a Jimmy nerd at that point. And what I ended up doing was just taking that name, and then I slapped on electronics. But then, as my products ended up evolving, I went from the Mint Drive. Then at that point, I was in a band, and the band was really, really heavy on tremolo. It was kind of like a alt country folk type of band. And so tremolo was really kind of heavy on the songs. And I was just kind of looking around the market, and I couldn't really find a tremolo pedal that really settled with me. At that point, I was using the tremolo on my Fender Reverb, on my Fender Twin Reverb, and the complications with tremolo is that you can't. It's hard to get it to pulsate with pulse with the band or the drummer. Especially because playing live, your drummer might be a little bit faster or slower than practice. And so it was always hard to really kind of dial in that rate of the tremolo. And so what I ended up doing was I went, and I have a background in computer science. So I do a lot of programming on the side. And so what I ended up doing was kind of researching some of the architecture of tremolo pedals. And then also in parallel with that, just kind of working with the electronic side. And so I started working on code and then working on the hardware, and combined the two, and came the Heat Wave, which is now dubbed the Rising Sun. And that's kind of what birthed kind of the more intricate effects, I would say.
It's interesting that tremolo is the breaking point for that. Usually it seems like when people want to start getting a little weirder, they start maybe with delay, but this was based on a specific need that you had.
Yeah, exactly. And see, the thing that was crazy about it too was at this point, I think it might have been 2012, 13. At that point, when it came to tremolo and tap, there really wasn't too much on the market at that point. And if there was, it either had, it was too crazy of, I guess, parameters, or either it didn't have what I wanted. And so I was like, well, I'll just build what I need.
Why did you end up switching the brand?
So, came the Mint Drive, then the Heat Wave, and I think the next one was the Running Wolf. And the interesting thing about the Running Wolf is, so it's a one knob fuzz, and the name Running Wolf actually comes from my dad. Let's see, my mom's dad. So my grandpa, his last name's Running Wolf. And if you follow up the family tree, you get all the way up to a man named Running Wolf. And that's just kind of like, I guess, my Native American ancestry. So, I came out with the Running Wolf. Then the next thing was the Ghost Ridge. And the Ghost Ridge, it's named after an Indian burial site, which is located probably about 20 minutes outside of my hometown, Browning in Montana. And the artwork kind of describes kind of the scenery or the setting of Ghost Ridge. And so, as I started going on with these products, they kind of started developing their own, I guess, theme, which was kind of relayed back to my Native American ancestry. So at this point, I was like, you know what, Red House Electronics, it's not really fitting with the products. And
right.
And so, and to be honest, like Red House Electronics, spelling that out was really long. So I was like,
yeah.
it was really long. And a lot of my products, the designs are one color and kind of feature a simple layout and a simple art design. So I was like, Red House Electronics, that's really long, really complicated. I need something that's short and just kind of to the point. And so I think it might have been 2 years ago, I switched to Native Audio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting that, like talking to you and talking to Mario, how you guys both, not rely on your heritage, but draw from your heritage to kind of create your products and draw inspiration from that. Did you guys talk about this at all? I know you guys are friends, or did you kind of come up with this idea independently?
Yeah. So I think Mario, I think he might have reached out to me about 2 years ago or something, and he just kind of hit me up on Facebook and was like, "Hey man, love what you're doing. I'm a Native American builder myself, and what you're making is awesome." And so just from that, we ended up kind of conversing and just going back and forth. And I mean, we follow each other on social media, but no, we didn't really. I don't think we really, I guess, tried to line up our kind of background and try to lay that into design. I think it both, for both of us, it kind of just happened organically.
It's cool. I love seeing people's stories integrated into whether it's their music or their products, their companies, whatever. I like when people have a history with things. It makes things more interesting, and it means more in my eyes. I don't know if that is the same for everybody, but that's just kind of how I feel about it.
Well, yeah, exactly. And the thing with the pedal industry is there's a lot of products out there. A lot of companies, a lot of great companies, but aside from being able to create these designs, is at least with native audio, I'd like to incorporate some type of theme, which even just the company name itself, Native Audio, and then the products, they all kind of have drawback to, my ancestry. So I don't know. I guess in that sense, I do kind of like to have some type of theme with the products.
So, from doing this podcast and talking to a lot of the builders in the community and everything, everybody seems to have like some stories, some things that have came from running their companies or doing their whatever the project is that has led to me talking to them. They have a story. Is there anything particularly that stands out to you that you've gotten to do as a result of running this company?
Running Native Audio. I mean, to be honest, it's kind of been, I guess, dream job kind of thing. Growing up, it's kind of, it's so funny. I was listening to Mario's podcast, and it was so funny, growing up, I was never that sports kid. I jumped in sports, and by time the first game, I either, I pretty much just quit because I'm like, this sucks. And so I didn't really connect with sports. And there was just nothing I was really connecting with, but I was always that kid that was, and I even go back to high school and middle school, I was setting up weird kind of things in my room, like to flip, with my, me and my brother, we stayed in the same room and we had bunk beds. This is back in middle school. And I was on the top bunk, and I was like, man, it's so frustrating, getting off the bunk and then going over the light switch. So what I did was I made a pulley system that was basically just rope, and it led up to my where my pillow was, so I could just pull the pulley like up or down to turn the light on or off. And so it was kind of really I guess weird like that. But at the same time, I was never really fitting into different things, and it wasn't until I came across music that I kind of really connected. Then fast forward a couple years with electronics, I ended up connecting even more. And then when it came to pedals, they combined the two. And so I just really felt at home, and being able to run Native Audio is kind of that, I guess, is kind of my story that I enjoy, is just being able to connect the two passions, I guess.
So your background, you said, is in computer science, which definitely gives you a leg up in this new modern era of digital stuff that we're going towards. But you did start with a fuzz face. If you had a recommendation for a new builder or somebody that was looking to get into making effects, where do you think they should start?
I would start with the classics. Do let's see, Fuzz Face, Tube Screamer, Blues Breaker. Those are all the fun circuits, I guess, that basically, you can tinker around. Each of those have so many directions that you can go in, because I've heard a lot of fuzz face style circuits, but they're all done kind of differently. So I would definitely recommend one of those three, because that's something easy enough to get diving into. And with each of those, you could go into a wide range of sounds.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I get different opinions on that depending on who I'm talking to. Some people are like, oh yes, you need to start learning about programming, and for me, like the idea of building a fuzz face, yeah, I think I can handle that. But man, if you had to get me to start like looking at lines of code,
yeah,
I wouldn't even know where to begin or what to do. I would have absolutely no idea.
Well, that's the thing too, is like, I feel like, at least with me, I kind of like, having like little accomplishments. So having to sit down and read code for 20,000 years or 20,000 hours would kind of be disheartening. And I kind of like to see results. So as soon as I wire up a fuzz face and I'm hearing crazy sounds, it kind of drive me to even kind of dive more into the pedal thing, as a new builder.
Yeah, I'm like that too. I'm like a little bit impatient. Like,
yeah,
I want it now.
Yeah, that's exactly, and that's kind of bitten me in the butt a couple times.
So you say you're a big blues fan. What's your rig looking like these days?
So my shop here, I have tons of Fender amps. Everything from deluxe to twins to Princetons, but right now I've been primarily just running out of a deluxe reverb, the 68 reissue, and I think it's I'm running out of the custom channel, which is kind of, I guess, apparently the tone stack's supposed to be similar to a Bassman. Yeah, so I'm running out of that deluxe reverb, and I kind of keep it simple. So like, I just like to have a drive, reverb, delay, and tuner and a wah. So I've been running the Ghost Ridge, the Wilderness delay, and then let's see I got a TS10, and then I have the Dunlop Mini wah. It's a really fun one. And then just a DC Electronic Polytune Mini. It's kind of my go-to setup, I guess.
And then a Stratocaster, I'm guessing?
No, it's actually, hold up. This is a Fender Duosonic.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
So this one, I actually, I went and my grandparents, they have so this is over in Browning, Montana. My grandparents, they have a lot of land that was handed. Tons of natives on the reservation have like a lot of land that was handed to them by their ancestors, and my grandma and grandpa have a couple sets of land, and some of that land's kind of small and it's inside other land, so it's kind of very inconvenient. So the tribe is actually offering tons of enrolled members. I say they're basically like, hey, here's a couple bucks of money if you let us have that small portion of land, and so my grandma and grandpa sold a couple of their land, and they gave some money to their grandchildren, and so I ended up getting like $500, and I was like, all right, what should I do with this money? I can either buy like a DB, buy something stupid, and at that point these Fender Duosonics came out, and I was like, oh man, that looks really good. And I actually just ended up pulling the trigger, and then I got one of the Duosonics, which I love.
That's a much better way to spend that money, in my opinion.
For sure.
And that's something you'll always remember when you look at that guitar. Like, that was basically from my grandparents.
Yeah, exactly. And I got there. I ended up, it's kind of stupid, but I was like, hey, can you guys sign the back of my guitar? So I got both of my grandma and grandpa's signatures on the back, which is, it's kind of like having that photo of like grandparents, or like a photo of like a family like that you like to keep, So that's kind of the same thing with this guitar.
That's not stupid at all. I don't think that's stupid. That is not stupid. That is cool. I love that kind of stuff.
But you know what the crazy thing about this guitar is? So like I do have a Fender American Standard Strat, which was like my baby for like 4 years or something. And then until I picked this guitar up, which I think this one's actually made in Mexico. And, the interesting thing about it is that this guitar plays so much better than my American Standard. And, I know that a lot of, I guess, gearheads would look down on that. But this Duosonic, it plays like butter.
I've never played a Mexican Fender that was not at least very solid, if not great. Literally everyone I've ever picked up has been a good guitar, if not an excellent guitar. So I would say they're probably maybe the best bang for the buck out there, because sometimes you get a real gem like you have out of the Mexican Fender stuff. They do good work.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what I love about this Duosonic is it just has a volume and a tone. And I'm one of the people that I just love simplicity. I just love when something's simple. And so having just two knobs and one switch, that's like perfect for me.
So what bands are you listening to these days? Is it still the same? You kind of settled into that blues genre, or are you exploring out a little bit?
I'm exploring out a little bit. I'm really heavy into, I guess what they would consider bedroom pop.
Okay.
I guess the gear nerds on here will understand, but like a lot of guitar that's kind of clean, clean, and then has a lot of chorus on it. So it's very dreamy, kind of wishy-washy, kind of watery type of sounds. And
when I think of that genre, I think of my friend Bob, who's in Best Coast. Like, that's kind of what I think of. Well, maybe that's not exactly the genre, but that's who comes to mind first. But that's just because he's a buddy. So
no,
maybe that's not entirely correct.
Does he have stuff online?
Oh yeah, Best Coast. They definitely, he's the guitar player.
Okay.
And Bethany is the main person that people know. But it's them two together. But Best Coast. Okay. Yeah, check it out. They have really cool music.
Okay, yeah.
And Bob is a pedal nerd.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, big time. Big time. He's been on the show before. Yeah, okay. He's got quite the collection.
Oh, dang. Well, yeah, I guess it's a lot of and a lot of the chording that I notice is a little bit more jazzier too. And I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. It's I guess I just like it just because it's something that I guess it doesn't require a lot of producing. It's really kind of just raw. So I kind of enjoy it.
Who are some of your favorite artists in that genre?
So there's two that I can think of off the top of my head. Is Crumb. I enjoy Crumb.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Crumb. And then what is it? Oh, yeah, Crumb, and then Soccer Mommy.
Oh, I've heard of them, but I haven't heard them.
Yeah, really.
Which is the classic music nerd thing to say. I've heard of them, but I haven't heard them. But it's so true.
I've heard of, but I haven't really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's some good stuff.
Cool. So let's see here. I'm trying to go through the things we've talked about in my head. Oh, I know something I wanted to ask you. Out of all the pedals you've worked on personally,
Yeah.
what is your personal favorite or the one you're proudest of?
One that I'm proudest of, probably the Ghost Ridge. I don't know if you or your listeners are familiar, but the Ghost Ridge is a multi reverb, and it's a multi reverb, but it features up to 4 reverbs and then 4 presets. And but the crazy thing about it is it only has 2 knobs and 2 switches. So that's probably the one that gives me the most enjoyment, I guess. Even when every time I test the pedal too after building it, I kind of just fall in love with it.
Start playing it for a little bit too long.
A little bit.
I got to get back to work.
Yeah, let's just say like I kind of set deadlines, for when I'm, going to build this, when I'm going to do QA for this, and the QA goes a little bit longer than expected because of that.
The QA, do you do like a live Q&A or something?
Quality assurance. So
quality assurance, the different kind of QA.
yeah, the different kind of QA. Lots of different QAs, but that one, yeah. But yeah, I guess that one brings me. I guess that's probably the most the design that I'm in love with, just because reverb's kind of one of those settings that especially this reverb is something. I mean, literally, it can fit with anything. Because you can turn all the knobs down.
What are the different modes you've got in the thing?
So there's hall, plate, room, and spring, and the Ghost Ridge. And for each of those 4 reverbs, there's 3 parameters. There's mix, depth, and modulation. I guess those are kind of the star hitters for reverb as far as features go. And so it's really easy to kind of dial in something, either you can set a preset and just totally dry sound, or you can have subtle reverb, or you can have some crazy washy ambient type of junk.
I love a good plate reverb. Really, I have never played a real one, which I've been saying for years. I need to play a real plate reverb, but when I go get a plate reverb setting on the various pedals I've gotten to try, I always love. I don't know if it's the feel of the plate. I don't really know what it is. It just really works.
What I don't know. What do you enjoy about it? It's like the brightness, or
I like the brightness. I kind of like that it doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like I've played guitar in like big empty rooms and experienced, what quote unquote real reverb sounds like. And plates don't, at least the artificial plates that I've played, they don't feel like that at all. It's more about like how they respond.
Yeah.
That it's a little more immediate, and it feels fake in a good way.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
No, that makes
like
sense.
It feels like a sound that couldn't be recreated any other way, I guess, other than an emulation or a actual plate reverb. But like, you're not going to find that in nature.
Let me swing this by you, Blake. So
okay.
I was this is the stupidest idea, but I kind of almost feel like it's something worth pursuing. Okay. So have you seen a lot of recordings where people put like their amps in like an empty tub?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I was thinking, I was like, and I don't know, somebody might end up pursuing this other or something, but, or maybe there's even something out there right now, but like bathroom reverb. Like I think it'd be so cool to have a bathroom reverb pedal.
I think you should do it, because I've thought about this before, and like you could run vocals through it. You could run all kinds of things through it. Like bathroom reverb. I mean, everybody knows that they sound better in the shower.
That's
like, it's a scientific fact.
Point. Yeah, that's my point. And so here's the thing though. So I'm like, man, and I was telling my girlfriend this is like, I'm like, man, this would be so sweet to have a bathroom reverb pedal because, I mean, just like you're saying, a lot of people sing in the shower and they think they sound awesome. And I've seen different recording situations where people put amps in the, like an empty bathtub. And I think it would be so cool to have like a bathroom reverb. So it'd be kind of like short delay time. And you would actually have the option to, because the more towels, the more photos, the more kind of stuff you decorate with the bathroom, the darker the sound gets. So I think it'd be so sweet to like, have a setting where like it's like subtle, or you can like add more things to the bathroom, which in return like cut the high frequencies. But yeah, I think it'd be a fun little reverb.
It'd be like this control knob that goes from the sound of Patrick Bateman's bathroom to the sound of your grandma's bathroom.
No,
it's
exactly.
Just covered in flowers and towels.
Yes. And then in addition to that, you can like change it from like, like an apartment bathroom where it's like the smallest that can be, or you can get like a mansion bathroom, like even a bigger bathroom. So like the delay time changes. I don't know.
Oh man. We're in this castle bathroom where it's just echoing off the stone walls.
The castle bathroom. It's haunted.
Yeah. Haunted. Whoa. Haunted bathroom reverb. Yes. This is something never before explored.
No, exactly. And that's a idea that's kind of, I have like, the thing that sucks about like, well, I guess not sucks, but I don't know. The complications of like doing the pedal stuff is like, I have all these ideas, but it's like getting the time to be able to produce those ideas. And that's the kind
that is always the challenge, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
How do you find the time? Because you obviously do occasionally find the time.
Yeah. So at this point with Native Audio, it's kind of my second full-time gig. I'm an electronics engineer for another company, not a pedal company, but just another company in the electronics industry. But, I do that as like a full-time gig. And then, when I clock out, I basically clock in for Native Audio. And, but within, the past couple months, it's been kind of nice with the whole, the COVID situation hasn't been nice, but I've been trying to take advantage of, that extra time, because my workplace has been kind of limiting, access to the workplace. So I've been trying to take advantage of that time and kind of dive more into Native Audio and dedicate more time. So, that's definitely been very beneficial.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes if this is going to be a wake-up call for a lot of businesses in that, like, I don't know, maybe having a giant office full of people isn't really an expense that we need in 2020. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think there's definitely advantages to working in person, especially on certain things, but it seems like you could have a smaller office with like, a couple people that work there, and then almost everybody else be remote.
Oh,
not every job, but in a lot of jobs.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely weird times that we're living in. And I think, during these times, we're kind of finding stuff, not just about ourselves, but even just the workplace in general. But yeah, so I don't know. I just try to take advantage of that time and being able to dedicate it back to Native Audio.
So, like, I'm trying to think. Like, you're a smart dude. Like, you're doing pedal engineering, and you're doing like electronics engineering all day, every day. Do you ever look at some of the stuff in the pedal industry and you're like, why is that done that way? We don't do it that way over here. We don't do this similar thing over here. I don't know exactly what your day job is, so it's hard for me to, maybe I'm not communicating this effectively.
No, that makes
sense. I know in certain things, I'm like, why is it done this way? Like, just because I have like a mechanical background,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. I mean, uh, anytime like a pedal comes out in the music industry, um, yeah, I get. Are you asking like if I see something, then I'm like wondering if that's how, like, I wonder how it works? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm wondering if you look at like, for instance, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
say traditional true bypass switching, and you're like, this could be done more effectively with relays and should have been done as standard from the beginning. Or, I don't know exactly, because you know a lot more stuff than I do, but I just kind of look at certain things that have become standard, and I wonder if they're always the best way to do things, but they're just the way we've always done it.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I think a lot of things come in waves. Because I feel like your example, the true bypass, I feel like that was a thing for quite a while. If it didn't have true bypass, then the pedal was garbage.
Right.
And I don't know. And even in that perspective, I feel like because all my pedals now, except for I think the Rising Sun, they use JFET switching, which is similar to like the Boss style. And so I don't know. I guess I look at it the perspective as like, okay, there's different types of ways you can do it, but which one works with me and which one do I enjoy, I guess. And the reason I went with that switching is just because you run longer cables, you do this, you do that. It can change your sound, but whereas like my switching, it doesn't matter if you have a short cable or a long cable. It'll most likely sound exactly the same.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I have a question in the Facebook group when people join, and it's true bypass versus buffered bypass.
Yeah.
And some people take that way too seriously. And they like write a long essay. I'm like, no, I just put this in here because I would want to make sure you're not a robot. I don't like
And they
need
get so offended by the question.
Yeah, they're like, well, it doesn't matter, or to be like, oh, it's true bypass every time. Anything else is completely unacceptable. I'm like, this wasn't supposed to be like a controversial question. It was just be like, just let me know you're not a robot question. That's all. That's all that these are. It's kind of funny.
No, that is hilarious.
Yeah, it's
oh my gosh,
it's funny. You can't ask anything on the internet these days without it really, offending somebody.
Oh no, it's kind of a narrow route on the internet there.
Well, I think most of us don't even know what it is half the time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that was offensive.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's exactly. I don't know. It's a weird territory for sure.
So, because we do like to talk about food on this podcast a lot, and this, this is something I don't know that much about Native American culture.
Yeah.
So forgive me if my ignorance is showing, but I do know that the reservation I drive through to get to like different places in Eastern Oregon and stuff, they have this spot where you can get these wonderful fry bread chili taco things. They call them tacos. I don't think they're really a taco, but they're so good.
Yes.
Yeah, but they're so they call them different things in different spots, so I'm not sure. Like one place calls them Indian tacos, one place calls them like fry bread tacos, one place called them like fry bread. What did they call it? Like fry bread chili, but it was the same thing.
Okay.
So tell me about this. How did this become a thing, and why is it the most amazing thing in the world?
Okay, so I can't tell you where it came from, but I can just tell you that since the day I was born, Indian tacos is a tradition, or like is, I guess, a classic meal, a classic go-to. But yeah, for your listeners, that Indian taco is basically fry bread, which is just a type of dough that's been fried. And then you just top it like a taco with some chili. But oh my gosh, they are killer.
I'm getting hungry right now. Just thinking about
Me
it.
too,
I haven't
me
had
too.
one in about a year.
Yeah. Well, you know what's
such
funny?
an amazing thing.
You know what's funny is you mentioned fry bread, and my mom and my stepdad, when they got married back in 2006, they, you know, people have like tons of, fancy kind of meals. They get some, some type of carry out or whatever from an awesome caterer or whatever. And my mom and my stepdad, they actually had Indian tacos for their wedding reception. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. My poor relatives, though, they spent all night like cooking the dough, though, making the fry bread. I mean, you had like bags full of bread, but it's just that good.
Do you know what it is that's different about the dough? Because there's definitely, in as far as I can tell, there's something different than just like regular bread. I don't know what it is. It just tastes so much richer, and of course it is fried. That helps. But
yeah,
is there something different about the dough?
I think the key ingredient is grease. Yeah, that's the only thing I could say. Because honestly, like it's like a, it has flour, it has baking powder, and I don't know. It's but it's fried though. I think that's really the key component to that is basically grease. The greasier, the better, I think.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a memory I have, like going through that reservation to get to like going hunting and stuff. Yeah. And B, like for whatever reason, it was a thing that my mom would make up hunting, and really only up hunting. Like we'd be in this little trailer and she's like, "We're having Indian tacos tonight." I'm like, "Yes, we are. Why don't we do this at home?"
That's awesome. Yeah, the cool thing about the fry bread too is that you can, you can put jelly on it. You can put butter on it. I've seen people put powdered sugar on it. Oh my gosh, there's so many different ways that you can go with it.
The butter and jelly on the fry bread is something that everyone should experience.
Yeah,
it's
it
so
really
good.
is.
It's so bad for you, but it's so good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Are there any other hidden gems like that people don't know about, as far as that you guys are keeping to yourselves?
What's that? Any hidden gems?
Oh yeah, you got any more hidden gems like that, that like most people don't know about Indian tacos? I don't think so.
Yes.
You got other things that you guys are keeping from us?
Berry soup. Berry soup's one that I really enjoy.
Tell me more.
Yes, berry soup. So, it's basically just so like a lot of my family members, they live kind of up in the mountains, so a lot of them go berry picking, and they come back with berries, and basically berry soup. Now it's going to sound really weird, but it's really good, I promise. But berry soup is basically just water with berries, and if you want to get fancy, I think you can put a little bit of sugar in there, but it's basically just berry and a little bit of flour and water. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you're familiar with like cream of corn, but it's like cream of berry basically. And so it's almost like a dessert type of meal, and it's really delicious.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are the berries like mushed up, or are they whole?
Whole. So it's the whole shebang.
That sounds like I could get into it. Berries are my favorite fruit by a long shot. I'm a big fan of raspberries and blueberries and blackberries and all that stuff. So yeah, I could be into the berry soup. I was thinking it was going to be like, you were going to like, I know it sounds like it's going to be sweet, but we actually put peppers in it, and it's a spicy soup.
No.
I was prepared for something really wild, but
yikes. No, it's
berry soup. All right.
Yeah.
We learn something new every day.
It's kind of like, and then it goes well with fry bread too.
I was going to say, that sounds like something that would go good on top of fry bread.
Oh, I haven't got that crazy. But typically I just like, rip off some of the fry bread and just have it with some of the berry soup. But yeah, it's all right.
Solid. I like it. Well, thank you for the education. We're all looking for new things to eat around here all the time, because
for sure.
why wouldn't you? Well, cool, man. So we got berry soup, we got fry bread tacos.
Yeah.
What else do we got? So we talked about some of the bands you like. We talked about all of that. Are there any like artists that you listen to that were surprising to you? Things that kind of like you were expecting something else and it became like a favorite of yours?
So artists that I listen to that ended up just becoming like a favorite.
Yeah, because I've found that like there's bands that I went into and they're like called like some aggressive thing, and they end up being something else. Like one of the ones that really comes to mind from back in the day was "And You Will Know Us" by the Trail of Dead. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a heavy band. And at least the records I listened to, they weren't particularly heavy. So, but I really liked that band. So I was just thinking if you had any, examples like that in your life.
What about people that I listened to that I fast forward, I didn't think I would actually really enjoy? Is that like...
That works. That's probably an easier question.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
And so this is like literally this morning I was doing this. I have a soft spot for nu metal. It sounds so stupid, but I don't know, something about you throw on a nu metal track and you just get pumped for the day. It sounds ridiculous, but back in the day, that was the music, at least for when I was a kid. And now it's kind of got a cheesy, you hear like, say, like Limp Bizkit or like early Linkin Park, you hear those names and you're kind of like, oh my gosh, that's kind of cheesy. But now I'm kind of like, man, that's some good stuff. So I guess those are one of those bands where it leaves a weird taste in people's mouths. But after listening to it, I'm like, hey, you know what? That's not that bad.
I mean, early Linkin Park I have said this on the podcast before, like that was my first exposure to heavy music. Sure. I heard Linkin Park in the car while I was waiting for my mom to come out of Safeway. And I was like, what is this? This is incredible. You mean guys can just yell into the mic, shut up when I'm talking to you, and that's okay? We can do that? I'm like, this is amazing. So I definitely have a soft spot for Linkin Park. But there's also, if you go back, so there's some nu metal that I feel like it gets a pass in some people's eyes. Like, I think everybody can kind of universally appreciate Deftones. Like, Deftones rule. I don't know if you listen to them all that much, but yeah, they were a smaller band out of that same batch, but man, their tone, their riffs, they're a great band. So if you haven't listened to Deftones, go back and listen to their album White Pony, and you will be a fan. You will like it.
For sure.
I feel like early Slipknot somewhat gets a little bit of a pass too with some people. But Limp Bizkit doesn't seem to ever get a pass.
I have a soft spot for Limp Bizkit. I don't know what it is. It's good stuff, man.
It is, but listen to actually, I mean, I get it. Like, I understand why it's a thing that people would point at and laugh at, but actually listen to Wes Borland playing and that rhythm section. They're very good.
No, exactly.
They are. They're really good.
Yeah, it's
Fred Durst is Fred Durst, but man, the band behind him is very talented.
Yep.
So we're coming into the home stretch of the podcast, and I want to give you a chance to put up a billboard, say whatever you want to say. If you got something to get off your chest, or if you want to just plug a bunch of stuff, this is your opportunity to do so.
Yeah. Well, if I could just get, your listeners, just feel free to check out Native Audio on Instagram. I love all the support, and I'm always daily I'm posting something on there. So the biggest thing you can do is support me on there, and check out the website nativeaudio.us if you get a chance. But yeah, just feel free to check out the videos. Share some love, comments, whatever, man. I really appreciate it.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yep.
All right. Now we're going to get into the classic questions, and hopefully it's not too controversial, and we can,
snap.
we can depart as friends. Let's see how this goes. So the first one is, what is your favorite Boss pedal?
Oh, what is my favorite Boss pedal? Dang, that's let's see. Probably I would have to say probably the CE2. That's the only one that's kind of stuck with me for a long amount of years. I still got my Boss CE2 with me.
That's a solid pull. CE2 is a great pedal.
Yep. It's fun.
Love it.
It's definitely fun.
All right, last question. Here we go. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Dude, I'm a classic pepperoni. I just like pepperoni pizza.
Man, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with pepperoni pizza, right?
Yep. No, I guess I'm a good friend to have, because I'm very cheap when it comes to pizza orders.
You like your crust thin? You like it thick? Where are you at with that style?
It's all over the place, I think. I guess I would say, like, you have thick or thin pizza for too long, you kind of want to switch it up. So I can have it either way, I guess. And so I guess that's even a better person to have on your side when it comes to a pizza order.
Yeah, that's perfect. That makes things nice and easy.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, right on, Mike. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on, and this was a fun chat, man.
No, I appreciate you inviting me, man. It's been a long time coming, but I really do enjoy finally meeting up and chatting.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, for Mike, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, folks, there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this. As always, just like I talked about at the top of the episode, if you want to get in some real, meat and potatoes and some heavier stuff, we talk about that on this week's Patreon episode with Mike. So you can go to patreon.com/tonemob to check that out and figure out how to get extra episodes every week. All right. Without further ado, let's get you to another episode. You got other things to do. You got other things to listen to. Check out that YouTube channel. Like I mentioned, I'm doing I'm doing a video every single day for the month of September over there on YouTube. We're going to see what happens. It's going to be a wild ride. Let me know what you like, what you don't like. I'm here for the people. So go check that out. Link is in the show notes for all of that. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately, and if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.